Well, hello everybody. Andrew Field here, as always, and here to give you another important update on the news over the past 2 weeks. I'm sorry for these building up fast. I was gonna wait till the weekend, but I found a bit of time to do this, and more important stuff is going on. Like there's gonna be more public testimony going on tomorrow, and this video seems like it's gonna be pretty long, so I wanted to get out quickly as possible. So here we go. Speaking of the testimony, Vindman said in his testimony, which lasted over 10 hours, that the White House omitted key phrases out of the Ukraine phone call transcript. The House heard testimony from two State Department officials. Impeachment investigators invited John Bolton to testify. Bolton stopped and he didn't show up. He also stopped a Trump-Zelensky meeting from happening. Four White House officials also refused to testify in the impeachment probe. Trump said he would release a transcript of a second call, an earlier phone call he had with Ukraine President Zelensky. Ambassador Taylor gave damning information in the testimony. Trump did quid pro quo for re-election. Trump broke from his allies, saying the impeachment hearing should not be made public. Gordon Sondland, the ambassador to the EU, fearing perjury charges, changed his Ukraine testimony. The Trump team sent over a script to Ukraine for President Zelensky to read about investigating Joe Biden. Pentagon official says the Office of Management and Budget offered no explanation for withholding aid to Ukraine amid questions. An official testified Trump directed the freeze on aid to Ukraine. The House voted to formalize impeachment inquiry. The vote passed along party lines, which was a very bad sign, with not one Republican going against Trump. The House may charge Trump with obstruction over his efforts to limit the House impeachment inquiry, which they should. The House released transcripts of the closed-door testimony, like the stuff that was not public yet. They're making further testimony public. Starting this week, they did. Representative from LA, Senator John Kennedy said of Nancy Pelosi, at a Trump rally, mind you, it must suck to be that dumb. He said of Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House. And I say to him, screw you, you unpatriotic bastard. Thank you. George Kent and Bill Taylor spoke on the first day of public impeachment hearings in the House. Both men are respectable and had done much service to America in their positions. But of course, Devin Nunes and the GOP stood in defense of Trump, like trying to bring out Hunter Biden and, really stirring up the investigation and not fully doing their job. A new revelation came out during the testimony of someone hearing Trump talking to Sondland about Ukraine a day later. Representative Peter Welch destroyed Jim Jordan because Jim Jordan was someone they brought in to attack these people that came up. Bill Taylor and George Kent for coming up and doing the respectable thing and bringing the evidence forward. And he was saying he wanted the whistleblower to testify and to know the whistleblower's identity, who started this impeachment investigation by saying about the phone call between Zelensky and Trump. And it was funny. Peter Welch said, let's bring the one who started this, and then he said, all right, Trump can testify at any time. So that was a good comeback. It's better in a video form, but Trump ironically said he was too busy to watch the impeachment hearing, despite tweeting about the testimony over 30 times that day. Republicans defended the law over Nixon investigation, but now the Republican Party is a joke to the United States of America, as you could see very recently, all the time, but including the testimony this past Wednesday with Bill Taylor and George Kent, where they were just attacking them because they were seeing evidence of corruption. Because it's a Republican president, so they're doing everything they can to support him, and they're not sticking with the Constitution they said they'd abide with in their job. Ukraine President Zelensky is going to announce the was going to announce the investigation of the Bidens on September 13th, but he didn't because military aid was given him on September 11th. The Trump administration released the aid because federal lawyers told them they had no legal standing to block the aid money. To the, I just wanted to say a message here to the Trump supporters out there. Hello, is anyone in here? I'm talking about the hardcore Trump supporters who still support him to this day. Do facts just pass by you every day, or do you just not care? I just want you to check yourselves and think about everything that Trump has done, and do you really want to support everything he's done so far, or do you want to have a more open mind of things? To anyone who identifies as a Republican, I'm sorry. Um, you should be ashamed of what the Republican Party has become. I'm not saying everyone that's a Republican has to turn Democrat. You're most people should be people should be Republican or Democrat or independent because of the ideals that they have. Republicans, in the most basic form, want less government interference and like more pro-business in the form of like doing things yourself without any government help. Democrats are the other way, saying more government interference, not interference, but more like government aid and more government programs. So that's like the basics of the parties. It's gotten so partisan now, but that's the reason why you should be a Republican or Democrat. So I'm not saying to become a Democrat just because the Republican Party is shite now, but I'm saying that you should um, not agree with what your party's doing right now if you're a Republican. Um, And even though there is so much evidence that Trump is guilty, and the only reason this investigation is continuing is solely to pile up more and more evidence, the Republicans are now mouthing Trump's words, the accused words. They're sticking up for him, and they're basically saying everything that he tells them to say, even though he's the one that's committing the crimes, which is crazy. The fact that the Republican Senate will not likely impeach Trump, turning their backs to the Constitution, makes the party go up in flames. I saw a video today by Now This showing what Republicans were saying about a Republican President Nixon after the tapes were released and this evidence came out versus what they're saying about Trump, and it's really mind-boggling. Um, and I think that the Republican Party's best chance is if like newcomer congressmen like for us Alexandria Ocasio Cortez start flooding in, or else your party's going to lose a lot more than 2020. And it's funny that the Republican Party is doing so bad right now that even though there's so many Democratic candidates, a lot of those Democratic candidates are likely to be Trump. And honestly, Trump should be impeached. If you think about the Constitution, you think about what this country is, and the implications of him not being impeached. He should be impeached, and he should not be able to run again in 2020. But it'd be nice to see him lose in 2020. But if he wins in 2020, we have 4 more years as Donald Trump being the president of the United States. I don't know how this country is going to survive. It's been hard enough for the first 4 years. If we get another four, that's hard to come back from. So during this time, Trump met with Turkish President Erdogan when hearings were going public. Trump lost an appeal in the New York case, and they said he must hand over his tax returns. Trump's lawyer said that he would appeal the case to the Supreme Court, but that doesn't even mean that the Supreme Court has to take his case. They only take a certain amount of cases per year. Um, Trump also pushed back on a report that Barr declined to have a press conference clearing Trump on Ukraine, which I believe to be true. Trump formally started the year-long process of pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. Idiot. Hong Kong police fired tear gas to break up protests on Halloween. Protesters hid within people celebrating Halloween with face masks. A pro-democracy protester was shot by police in critical condition. Tolo Highway, a major expressway in Hong Kong, was blocked by protesters. 500,000 independents protested in Spain for freedom of Catalonia. Haiti is protesting for the president to stand down, and Haiti was out of gas for a couple days straight. Um, Catholic Church joined Haiti's protests, and I thought it was just interesting how like when there's a bit of uprising going on in popular countries, whether it be the Hong Kong or the Maine, stuff going on in America where America is, 50-50 on America, Trump getting impeached. Great Britain, I don't think Boris Johnson's that popular, and you got the whole Brexit thing going on. So it's hard. Brexit's hard to keep track of, but you got that going on. So when that happens, that leads other countries to start protesting, and it is a good thing because it could help to get the best leadership possible in there by countries seeing, oh, this leader's not doing well enough for us, so we need to remove this leader, hopefully not forcefully, but remove this leader and make it so that power can be exchanged over time. So, a rise in subway fares caused protests in Chile. 20 were killed in Chile protests. The Chilean president dined at a fancy restaurant when people were saying that they didn't have enough money, so that's not a good message, and that really helps the message of the people saying why it should be removed. Lebanon was protesting to demand the removal of their prime minister. Prime Minister of Lebanon stepped down. This is a sad story to hear. A Bolivia mayor was attacked by the opposition, dragged by her, um, dragged her barefoot, covered her with red paint, covered her, forcibly cut her hair. Lebanese protesters saying "Baby Shark" to the scared toddler. A 16, and this happened today. A 16-year-old Asian man committed a shooting in California school, and he tried to kill himself but failed. Multiple people were injured, and I think 2 were killed. But sadly, this did not even stay in the news that long. It was not even that big of a story for that long, I don't think, because America's just gotten so used to all of these shootings. And it doesn't make it as big of a news, sadly, when not as many people die. Which is a sad thing to say, but I think it's true. China and the U.S. consider rolling back tariffs for the first phase of ending the trade war. Um, it was and I don't know if the trade, like, it seemed like a good step, but there's still some setbacks. Like, it doesn't mean that the trade war is going to end. It just means that it's a step in the right direction for them agreeing on something. So that was a good sign. I saw there was some difficulties with that though. One death sentence, 8 were jailed over a fentanyl charge in China. First big joint drug bust between the United States and China. 9 American citizens were killed by a gang in Mexico. Smugglers are sawing through the new sections of Trump's border wall. It's not that strong. Supreme Court justices seemed inclined to let Trump cancel an Obama-led program that shielded 700,000 young undocumented immigrants from immigration. DACA. Trump has lied over 14,000 times since taking office. Beto O'Rourke, a candidate that I knew wasn't that high on approval ratings, but a guy I really liked, and I actually took a political quiz and I related to him a pretty good amount. Dropped out of the presidential race. Hopefully in 2024, um, he can, you know, run a campaign that will be more successful. I think he will run again in the future. Biden said that Trump would have a new nickname of former president in a year, which is pretty cool. And Trump changes residence from New York to Florida. Voters headed to the polls across the country to vote in races that would give them a hint of the 2020 presidential election. Excuse me. The elections were governor of Mississippi, governor of Kentucky, House and Senate seats in Virginia, seats in New Jersey, and what happened? The big turnouts were Virginia now is complete Democratic control. It's a blue state, the Democratic governor, Democratic Senate, and Democratic House. And the big one was in Kentucky, a very close race. Democratic beat the incumbent Trump lover to be governor, and Trump went to Kentucky to like appraise the Republican governor, the incumbent, and he still lost. It was like by 5,000 votes, and it took the incumbent 9 days to concede, but he did. I think it was today or yesterday. Uh, man, Kanye West was running for president in 2024, he confirmed. Although in 2016, I think he said he would run in 2020, so who knows. Michael Bloomberg files to run an Alabama Democratic primary. Dude, I don't know anything about Michael Bloomberg except that he owns Bloomberg News. But honestly, there's so many Democratic candidates. It's already been a little bit into the, you know, presidential election. Not that it's happened yet, but we've gone through some debates already, and some people have joined late. But I don't like it when they overcomplicate things by people joining in late. So I don't like the fact that he joined. I think he did it too late, and he should have waited till 2024. Mothers who experience a fact I found was mothers who experience more psychological stress during pregnancy are less likely to give birth to boys and girls. Joe Biden celebrated National Cat Day with a dog, and Twitter bans political ads. That's big news. Um, because Facebook has been criticized with their handling of political ads. Airbnb banned house parties after 5 died in a Halloween shooting in a rental home. Microsoft tried a 4-day work week in Japan, and productivity went up 40%. Children were told to build a wall at a White House Halloween party. Nikki Haley really brought down her reputation to support Trump and said he should not get impeached to get his support for her new book. She's pathetic for that, and I liked her, so I didn't like that. She used to be a respectable UN ambassador for the United States, not anymore. Jewel disregarded early evidence of it hooking teens, not surprising at all. Russian promo bot is selling androids. Buyers can make the robots look like anyone on Earth. That's really creepy. Really, really creepy. Tech companies have not been aggressive enough to stop online sexual abuse material. 2 million pounds of chicken were recalled, maybe contaminated with metal. Philadelphia Flyers opened up a rage room to the public, which is cool. Two women models were banned from all future baseball games for flashing pitcher Garrett Cole in Game 5 of the World Series, which is pretty funny, and it'd be hard to enforce that anyway. Trump got booed again in Houston. Washington ended up winning the World Series. Yes, I don't care about baseball, but he got booed in Houston and Washington, so there was no advantage there. Um, but they made it a close series. It went to Game 7. I followed it a little bit, and it was very intense on both sides. So I didn't really care who won, but go Washington. And sorry, Houston, you won recently, and you probably will win again soon. So don't sweat it. Trump was also booed at a wrestling championship in New York, but of course cheered in Alabama. So that wraps up the news. I will keep you posted from then on. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and peace out, everybody. Have a great night.